It is the new home of Miami head coach Mark Richt. 7 10-win seasons as a coach since Miami last won double figures. Mark Richt, of course, a Miami alum, had a terrific career at Georgia and now taking over as head coach at the U, and he certainly remembers the hand signals very well. And pleased to be joined by Mark Richt, the new coach of the Hurricanes here.
Yes, sir.
Mark, we'll talk a little bit about semifinals in a bit, but after being at one place as long as you were at Georgia,
right,
what's the biggest adjustment you've had to make in a new job at Miami?
Oh, I don't know. There hasn't been a huge adjustment. I would say this: 15 years ago, when I became head coach at Georgia, I had never been head coach before. So I was kind of feeling my way around. I knew the Bobby Bowden way. I knew the Florida State way. And that's kind of how we went. But I didn't know everything that was coming down the pipe. So I was a little nervous navigating. Now, this time around, I'm excited because I know what I'm up against. I know that there's things that are unpredictable, obviously, but I have a lot better feel of what I want everything to look like. And I got tremendous support, and I'm excited.
So it was the wardrobe, basically.
What's that?
The wardrobe was one of the biggest changes. Getting rid of all that Georgia stuff
That's right.
for 15 years.
Got the U on. I didn't know I was going to be out here in the open with my shorts, but when you live in paradise, you might as well wear shorts all year round.
Would you have taken all the jobs that were open this year? Is there another job you would have taken, or just because it was? I mean, I didn't think so personally.
Right.
So this was the only job you would have taken.
Well, two things happened after. We mutually agreed to part ways. One was the outpouring of former players. I mean, I just got barraged by guys like you and even guys going back to Florida State. And I had guys that I dismissed from the team over the years that said, "Thank you, Coach, for helping me." And so I'm like, you know what? I got to keep trying to make a difference in these young men's lives. And the other thing was, it was Miami. It was my alma mater. It was a place where I felt like we could win. And I knew this job was not going to be open a year from now because I considered sitting out a year. But it all came together, and I think it was, I believe it was God's design to be here in Miami right now. So I'm excited.
And speaking of your alma mater, I think we have a little flashback for you here.
What?
How about that?
Look at that guy.
Look at that hair.
Oh, number 9.
Great hair there, Coach.
Oh, got it parted right down the middle like you're hitting a seam route.
There are 4 first-round draft pick quarterbacks.
Yep.
And you're not one of them.
Number one's Kozar.
Yeah.
Earl Morrill, my coach, was a first rounder at Michigan State. Yeah. Jim Kelly, and then Vinny Testaverde. Kyle Vanderwyn, number 13, and I were the only ones that.
So hard to get some run in that room. Golly.
It was rough.
Sweet. Coach, congratulations on the hire.
Thank you, Deb.
Good to have you in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Now that
you
you're
live
hired,
down the street.
Exactly. Saw you the other day. Now that you've been hired, putting together a staff, talk about the complexities of putting together a staff that's unique to where you are and not to where you were.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people excited about the opportunity to coach here at Miami. But like I've said all along, my goal is not to be fast. My goal is to be right. And it's so important to get not only the right coaching staff, but you have support staff. You have a recruiting department. You have a director of football ops. You have all these other support people that need to all work together to really make it happen. And I've had tremendous cooperation by Blake James, our athletic director, and Jen Strawley, the associate AD for football. So just really thankful for the help I'm getting and putting it all together.
Mark, you've had experience against all of these staffs at one time or another that are in the college football playoff.
Right.
You've coached in championship games. What's the most significant thing that will decide these games tonight based on what you know of these 4 teams?
I think most of the time it's doing what you do and doing it well and believing in what you do. A lot of times people talk about you got to make a great play. But usually the greatest plays are a normal play that you've done over and over, but you do it at a spectacular time. You do it with 3 seconds on the clock. It's spectacular because of the timing of it, not necessarily what you did. Now, there are some phenomenal runs and some phenomenal catches and things of that nature, but I think just down after down after down, executing what you do, the way it's supposed to be done, and that's what's going to win the game.
Coach, Clemson had to suspend 3 players about a little more than 24 hours before the big game.
Right.
If you're in that position as a head coach, what do you say to your team, and how do you address that situation come game time?
Well, I think the guys, at least knew at Georgia that I was going to discipline a certain way, and there's certain ways about going our business, and when guys don't do it the way they're supposed to do it, whether they're a walk-on or a first-teamer or whatever it is, then everybody's still under the same rules. So I think that consistency is important, to know that you have that on the team, that you don't have, well, this guy has a certain rule for him and a certain rule for this guy. Just sooner or later you're going to lose the team. So I think Dabo, the way he's going about his business is wise. And I think the guys pretty much, they know the deal. Hey, man, they did whatever they did. They got to pay the price. Now everybody's got to, do their thing and not get shook about it.
That's a discipline issue from a schematic standpoint, though.
Right.
How do you attack that?
Well, obviously you got to see what, there are some playmakers that aren't going to be in that game now, and all of a sudden, and like David, we mentioned before we got on the air that, you've practiced all along for this moment. Like if you knew it a month ago, it's different than knowing it just a couple hours before the game.
Exactly.
So now you just got to try to figure out the best way to get the ball to the playmakers.
Mark, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for spending some time with us. Got to get that you back in this mix like this, okay?
He was teaching me. I didn't realize you had a
Mark Richt, the new head coach of Miami. Glad to have Mark with us, spending some time on this semifinal day.